Folks, we are pleased to have Michael Hinshaw as our guest for today, and he is a dynamic and effective customer experience leader, speaker, and advisor with a proven track record of transforming business practices to drive customer centric growth. He is recognized as a top global customer experience influencer. Michael has worked with the major companies like Microsoft, Intel, and Best Buy. And he is also a co author of the best selling book, Smart Customers, Stupid Companies. Interesting title, right? And he's also a teaching fellow in entrepreneurship and innovation at UC Berkeley's Haas School of Business. And as we prepare to delve into a conversation on the topic at hand, mastering customer experience and insights from CX innovator Michael Hinshaw. Here's an exciting twist. As always, let us tickle our guest's brain. So, Michael, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. If you're ready, let's get the ball rolling.
Great. Thanks for having me, Naveen. Looking forward to this. This will be fun.
It will be a lot of fun. And here comes my first word, curiosity.
Always open.
Invention.
Creativity.
Future.
Forward.
Book.
Knowledge.
Customer.
Value.
Artificial intelligence.
2 words. Opportunity and threat.
Love it. Leadership.
Empathy and focus.
Role model.
Walk the talk.
Success.
Happiness.
And the last one is transformation.
Butterfly.
It was super fast, Michael. I love your responses, so spontaneous. I really appreciate it. And before I formally welcome you to the show, let me welcome the audience of folks you have tuned into The Guiding Voice, and hearty welcome to TGV Podcast, where we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. I'm your host, Naveen Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place through valuable discussions that add value not only to your life but also to your career. And we are here to simplify and amplify your life's success. So thank you so much for tuning in. And Michael, hearty welcome to The Guiding Voice. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Naveen?
I'm doing fantastic, and it's a pleasure and honor to have you on the show. And I've been waiting for this conversation to happen because I am one of the big proponents of customer experience. I am a Six Sigma guy. So, I believe in this voice of customer. And the moment I came across your profile, I thought, yeah, Michael is the one I need to host. And finally, we are here. So, Michael, let's get started. And can you share a bit about your journey and what inspired you to focus on customer experience as well as digital innovation?
Yeah. So I've been focused from a business perspective on customer experience and only customer experience for 22 years.
Wow.
I started a current company, M Corp CX, in 2002. And I got into customer experience because in the late 90s, I was the CEO of an internet startup and went from basically an idea on a napkin to a $300 million business in about 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I went into an industry I knew nothing about, doing business in a country I knew very little about. The industry was grain trading, and the country was Canada. I live in the San Francisco area in California, United States. So something I didn't know that much about. And to understand that business, I essentially put together a process or a program to interview all of the players in the market, mm-hmm. to understand grain traders, the farmers, the bankers, the agronomists, people who manage crops, all of that, and built something I called a customer relationship lifecycle. Mm. And for that lifecycle, it was essentially a way to visualize and understand how each player in the market went through an end-to-end experience to make that journey work. And so the lifecycle codified all the research we did and identified places where things were going well and many places where things weren't going well. Mm-hmm. And I designed a business around closing the gaps in places that weren't going well. Mm-hmm. So long story short, it was basically the same as a journey map, which is something that's used commonly in organizations today. And that outside-in view really got me started in customer experience, because customer experience is all about figuring out what your customers want and need through their eyes, not just through your own eyes and your own systems and your own processes. So 22 years later, here I am.
Superb. Yeah, looking at things from customers' eyes, not through our eyes, as a seller or as a vendor. That's a profound statement. And Michael, can you also talk about your success mantra, as in top three things that have contributed to your success so far?
I think it's focus is one of them. Mm-hmm. You know, only focusing on customer experience. So we don't, as a business, we don't have a bunch of programmers that we're trying to fill their hours. We're not a technology company. We're not trying to sell a technology. We're purely focused on helping companies do a better job serving their customers and their employees. So I say focus is huge. I think another thing is openness. When I say openness, that kind of links to, I think, my curiosity answer earlier, but the reality is the world's changing quickly. I mean, the last 20 years, things have changed a lot. The next 20 years, you brought up AI. I can't even imagine what the next 20 years are going to be like. But the one thing that is consistent is the velocity of change. It continues to accelerate. We as customers continue to want more and more from the companies that serve us. And the companies that serve us are continuing to try and find ways to give us what we want more quickly, more effectively, and more profitably. So being open to that change and kind of doing our best to see around corners to predict that is really a critical component of long-term success. Things are not going to stay the way they were.
Yeah.
And if I was going to pick a third thing, I think it's competence. And so there's a lot of, in every field, there's people that are really, really good at what they do, but they're familiar with the Pareto principle, kind of the 80-20 rule. A lot of people come into our organization and I'd say a smaller percentage of them stick simply because they're able to, competently, consistently learn and help organizations deliver great customer experiences. So we need to be fast about making decisions about who we work with and what that looks like, and make sure that we part friends with everybody we interact with.
Yeah, got it. So focus, openness to change, and competence. Great. Michael, you have worked with major companies like Microsoft, Intel, and Best Buy, right? So can you highlight a few key projects or achievements from your time with these organizations?
Yeah, I'll share a couple. One is with Microsoft, and this is something that they publicized pretty widely about 10 years ago when we did the work. Usually, we can't talk about our client successes for obvious reasons. But in this case, what we did was we helped Microsoft set up their first customer experience internal team and capability. Mm-hmm. And as part of that, we did a kind of, I'll call it a pilot project, saying this customer experience thing at that point, 10 years ago or so, it was 9 or 10 years ago, it wasn't widely recognized as something that had significant value, but there was a lot of interest and curiosity in customer experience as discipline. So we worked with their learning organization at that point to really find ways to define places where we could take friction out of the process of training partners, training employees, driving education, and the design of the tools and systems that the organization used to conduct that education. And we're brought in by IT. Interestingly, usually we're brought in by other parts of the organization, but maybe 15% of our clients, it's the IT organization that brings us in. Mm-hmm. And to your point around Six Sigma, we worked with enterprise architects and their EA team to find out how customer perceptions, internal and external customer perceptions, could change the way that they did business. And the short version is we drove, by bringing that outside in customer perspective, we were able to decrease time to technology deployment from 6 months to less than 30 days. Mm-hmm. And the number, by the way, has continued to drop since then. I think they're like 10 days or less now in that area. We increased partner and customer satisfaction almost 100%, so we nearly doubled it. And we also drove additional revenue. This is about a $250 million business unit of Microsoft, and we were able to identify and drive another $25 million in top line revenue to that organization as a result of this. Yeah. So that's just one way. By taking that outside in perspective, you're able to increase efficiencies. You're able to eliminate, and part of that, of course, is eliminating friction. You're able to, take things out of the system that might be there for reasons that were forgotten or unknown that aren't important to the customer. It turns out not important to the business either. And find ways to drive additional value, which drives, both greater satisfaction and greater revenue.
Yeah.
Another example, it's a large insurance company here in the U.S. called the Hanover Group. And for them, we actually worked with their learning and development team to create an education and training program to increase empathy and that customer perspective for their service center agents. About 2,500 agents in their call center and service group. And by actually building a program that they then took over and they trained everyone on it, it increased their net promoter scores went up, the customer satisfaction with the calls went up, employee satisfaction went up, and they have a series of kind of key benchmarks that they look at, which is things like first call resolution, and first call resolution in a call center is critically important because you need to figure out what the customer's issue is. You need to solve it, even if you have to pull in information from lots of different places. And an insurance company, when most of your service center calls are dealing with claims issues, claims agents, it's significant stuff. I mean, people have gone through a lot of trauma in many cases to the point where when they're calling the insurance company, they're asking, for things that are going to make their lives easier because they've gone through something, whether it's an auto accident or a fire in their home or business, or some other even worse thing, physical injury. Helping those agents understand how to listen to the customer's issues through the customer's eyes, empathize with them effectively, being able to interact with them in ways that are meaningful to the customer, but also adhere to the policies and priorities of the company, that we're able to deliver better business results and better customer results. And from my perspective, what's customer experience all about? If you can do those two things, you win.
Yeah. Got it. And Michael, you also mentioned the concept of experience operating system, XOS. So can you explain that to our audience and why companies might need this XOS?
Actually, it's a concept that Diane Majors and I, my co-author, we just published another book called Experience Rules. And in Experience Rules, we talk about the XOS. And essentially, there's 8 keys that help enable an experience operating system. And most organizations know what these 8 keys are. They just don't necessarily think of them as keys. You're looked at as potentially capabilities like customer understanding or strategy and vision, measurement, metrics. But the concept of an operating system is not just these individual components, but how do these things work together to help an organization continually increase their maturity in terms of their ability to deliver great experiences and to systematize, operationalize the things that they need to do on a daily basis to deliver great experiences and drive business results. And like I said, most organizations operate in silos to a degree. You've got marketing in one group, you've got service in another group, you've got sales someplace else, you've got IT, technology, digital, another spot entirely. The concept of an operating system, an experience operating system specifically, is to find the connective tissue that allows the organization to work across silos to deliver better customer experiences in ways that align to the goals of the business, also the needs of employees, and then deliver significant value to your customers and the business as a result. So it's how do you do all these things together in a way that consistently, systematically, and predictably drives business and customer success?
Yeah. And can you also explain to our audience the fundamental steps to building a company that customers and employees love?
Yeah, I mean, simplistically, it's listening to your customers and doing something based on what you hear. So I don't know if you're like me, you probably get surveys from organizations all the time that are saying, hey, how'd we do? Please rate, 0 to 10. Would you recommend us to your friends? Or, how satisfied are you with the experience? Or, how well did, somebody answer your questions? And thinking about all that, all the times. I mean, I could probably count on one hand the number of times an organization came back to me and said, thank you for your feedback. Based on what you told us, we're going to fix this problem. Right? Because a lot of organizations, most organizations gather information about customers, but most organizations don't really do anything with it. So there's really no point. It costs a lot of time, energy, and money. So, again, simplistically, it's understanding what your customers actually want and need, setting up the appropriate measurement and metric systems internally that allow you to understand what your customers are doing and how that tracks back to your business results and how you're doing. And then consistently, systematically, it's like a virtuous cycle. You listen to your customers, you make changes in the experience, you measure how well you did. Based on that measurement, you listen to your customers some more, you improve the experience, you measure how you did, and it's an ongoing virtuous cycle that never stops. But you have to do something about what you learn to succeed. And that's the core of a customer-centric business and the core of a business that customers will love. Because if you're being listened to and you know you're being heard and you know you're appreciated and valued, you're gonna love that company.
Amazing. And Michael, also, can you share some examples of companies that have successfully created a customer-centric culture and the impact it had on their business?
Yeah, there are many. I'm going to use one example that in the United States is particularly adept at this, and it's a company called REI. REI is a retail organization focused on outdoor sports enthusiasts. And they sell everything from bicycles to climbing gear, backpacks, ski wear, things of that nature. And what they've done is they've created an organization that treats their customers like, and they actually call your customers members. It's a cooperative, which means you get money back for shopping there. The employees are all highly knowledgeable. They're really good at helping you as a customer figure out what you want and need. They have highly flexible return policies, and they treat customers and employees with great respect. And they've created they do out of their stores, again, outdoors enthusiasts. You can join hiking groups. You can go on trips with other REI customers. Oftentimes those trips are led by REI employees. Mm-hmm. And they've done a remarkable job creating an ecosystem around a shared passion and focus that employees and customers buy into, mm-hmm. and that the company profits from.
Wow. That's an interesting thing to know, and definitely I'm going to research further on that. And I think you touched briefly on measuring the ROI of customer experience related initiatives, right? So can we elaborate more on that? Like, how can companies measure the ROI of their CX initiatives, and what metrics should they focus on? So I think you mentioned about this first call resolution applicable to BPOs or the call center. One of that I recall. So likewise.
Yeah. So it's not specific metrics. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is I would not make a blanket statement that net promoter score or customer satisfaction is something that's important to measure. It might be, but it might not be. So the question, to answer your question with a question, it's what metrics are most important to you,
right?
And what I mean by that is, and we promote and have developed essentially a measurement framework. And I'll describe it. There's more about it in Experience Rules, the book, and there's also more information on the MCorp website. And it starts, and just picture 4 horizontal bars. The very bottom bar is what we call operational or voice of analytics data. So every organization has tons of operational data that tells you what you're doing to your customers. How often do you call them? How often do they visit your website? What emails did you send them? Have they visited your store if it's a physical environment? How often have they purchased from you? All of these are things that you can track. So the question is, what are we doing that's affecting our customers? And that quickly shifts to what we call the experiential data, mm-hmm. right? It's a voice of customer. It's like, based on what we do across journeys at individual touch points, how do our customers feel, right? So if we find out through our operational data that we, emailing customers more than 9 times in 3 days makes them unhappy, or if we, call them too often, or whatever the metric might be, but you can track, it's knowable. You can talk to your customers. You can, look at your call center recordings and transcribe those. You can, look at your surveys. You can look at your social media. All that stuff can be analyzed and tell you how customers feel as a result of the interactions that you have with them. Mm-hmm. How customers feel directly translates to how they behave. Uh-huh. So you know what you do. You know what your customers feel as a result of what you do. What do your customers do as a result of how they feel? Do they buy more? Do they buy less? Do they, come to the store? Do they tell their friends how unhappy they are? Right? So you think about those are 3 of the 4 bars: your operational data, the metrics related to that, how customers feel, metrics related to their feelings, positive, negative emotions, etc. Customer behaviors, which, by the way, is also something that is trackable. You can say, our customers did this, our customers didn't do that. And then the last piece of it is the business value. What are your business goals? Things like retention, increased lifetime value, share a wallet, faster acquisition, speed to onboarding. Based on the business, pick your metric. Every business has multiple value metrics, multiple specific objectives. And if you think about that stack and the metrics associated with each stage, what you do, how they feel, what they do, and how that drives your business, there's going to be a different set of metrics in that stack for every organization. There'll be some common metrics. Retention, for example, that's pretty common as a business outcome. Customers unhappy, happy, pretty common. But the specific metrics that you track that are relevant to you are going to be different based on your business. But you have through the process of understanding where you're gathering data, where you have gaps in your data, and how you connect that data up so you can essentially chart that path to connecting what you do to your business success through your customer feelings and actions.
Got it. Very clear. And now comes the interesting question. Everybody is talking about Gen AI and it is going to revolutionize the industry. So in your opinion, how will this Gen AI revolutionize the customer experience in the coming years?
Yeah. So I'll put my happy hat on first. The happy hat is that Gen AI is going to routinize and systematize the things that humans have to do today,
right?
That are sorting through data, trying to figure things out, trying to find places where there's common issues to be addressed. AI is amazing at that. It can go out, it can look at huge data sets and say, oh, these are all the common issues that need to be addressed, and these are the kinds of problems that our customers have. Essentially freeing up humans to focus on those things that are more important to customers. Because from a customer perspective, the humans' time going out, and also from an employee perspective, right, digging through all this information to find out all these things, that's not super valuable. Somebody who can talk to me as a human, who can actually put my needs at the center of the conversation to say, well, you know what? Based on the problem you told me, I can look at my Gen AI driven database and say that these are the 4 most common ways that we've solved that problem. Which one of those might be right for you and why, or why not? And then essentially giving humans the time that they need to focus on the highest value conversations, and giving customers the ability to access the things they want that are less important, that don't require that human intervention quickly. So there's a line that we use: digital first, but not digital only. Mm-hmm. As customers, none of us want to talk to somebody at a company until we want to talk to somebody at a company, and then we want to talk to them right away. So if Gen AI makes it easier to access those less human-oriented questions, the things we just need to know, like how many of these things do you have in stock, or how quickly can you get this to me, or what's your policy on X? Gen AI can knock that stuff out. So that's my happy hat. Humans have more time to have human interactions.
Right.
Of course, the other way that can go, and some companies are pursuing this as well, is like, oh, well, with AI, we don't need any people, right? Yeah. Because we can just process all this information. And today, 20 years, right? 20 years from now, I have no idea where this is going to go. I don't think anyone does. There are lots of opinions and lots of concerns and lots of optimism as well. But to the degree that organizations use AI as a way to eliminate the need for people, I think that's also a very realistic future, and one that I think is problematic for customers.
Even I'm worried, and again, it is a dual-edged sword, right? Anything may have its own pros and cons, and really, we are looking in some exciting times ahead, and we have to wait and watch what is going to happen. All right, so Michael, this has been an incredible conversation so far, but it's time for us to add some more spice and some more excitement to the episode. So if you're ready, I'll kick off a second rapid fire. Okay, so comes the first bullet. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
You can make more money by treating customers better.
Wow, you can make more money by treating customers better. And one book every entrepreneur should read.
There's a bunch of them, but early stage entrepreneur. There's a book called Art of the Start by Guy Kawasaki. Which really talks about kind of the things you need to go through to start a business and some of the questions you need to ask yourself. So I think that's a great, kind of broad getting to understand how to start a business book. So Art of the Start.
Yeah. And then can you describe yourself in just one word?
Curious.
Curious. And describe customer experience in one word.
Empathy.
Empathy. Wow. And what is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
I've gotten a lot of advice. I've ignored most of it. But I'd have to say it's focus on what makes you happy rather than what you think success looks like.
Yeah.
And I say that, you can't always be happy. But if you pursue happiness rather than a visualization idea of what you think success should be, at least in my experience, that's done a lot towards, from my perspective, making me a happier person.
Love it, Michael. And can you share your favorite quote on leadership?
Oh, so I have two.
Sure.
The first one is from Dwight D. Eisenhower, former president of the U.S., Allied general in World War II. And I'm going to get the quote wrong because I don't, have it memorized perfectly. But basically, he said, "Plans are useless, but planning is critical." And then the other one, the famous boxer, a guy named Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And his coach, Gus D'Amato, this is kind of a follow-on to the Eisenhower quote. It says, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the nose." So hence the process, the plan itself is going to go out the window, but the process of thinking through, the process of planning, of thinking about what your options are, that part is really important.
All right, great. And here comes the last one for the rapid fire. What is one electronic gadget or a fantasy gadget that you'd like to see or invent yourself?
So if I could answer that question quickly and concisely, I'd be an inventor. But I can say there is a device that I actually have that I did not invent and that I wish that I did invent. Do you have a cat by chance?
No, I have a dog.
Okay, I've got both. But one of the disadvantages of a cat, where a dog is easier. A dog has to go to the bathroom. You just let it outside, right?
Right.
Off it goes, and then it comes back when it's done. But cats, they're not quite that predictable. You can't train them like you can train dogs. I don't even know what this thing is called. My son's girlfriend gave it to us as a Christmas gift a year or two ago, and it looks like a big egg. And the cat goes into this egg that has litter on the bottom. They do their business. And when the cat comes out, it automatically senses the cat's not there anymore, and the egg spins slowly.
Oh.
And it basically cleans the cat litter. And puts it in a little basket that you can empty once a week or even longer, depending on how big your cat is, I guess. But it's an automated cat poo scooper. Wow. And it's genius. When we first got it, we're like, oh, thank you. It's like, what is this thing? How are we possibly going to use it? Now, I don't think we live without it. So
interesting one, Michael, and I am hearing about it for the first time. Yeah, good one, good one. And let's flip back to the mainstream. And how do you stay updated on the latest trends and innovations in the customer experience space? And what resources do you recommend to our audience?
I read a lot. I think that reading is the only way. Just staying open. So some people take information in through videos. I'm a reader.
Yep.
So that being said, I think that the best places to get consistently great information about customer experience, there's a website called Customer-Think that's been around for a little over 20 years, and just lots of great authors and information on Customer-Think. Another place is the CXPA, the Customer Experience Professionals Association. It's a global network of customer experience professionals. It's a good place if you're trying to learn more about customer experience. You can go in and kind of, you can chat with professionals. You can read articles. You can download information about them. The technology companies also have a lot of good information, but the technology companies and the consulting companies all have, objectives aligned to their self-interests, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just as you're reading whatever it is they're putting out, my firm included, MCorp CX, we've got tons of great content, but we want you to hire us to help improve your customer experience. If you're a technology company, Qualtrics, they want to sell you technology. So that balance is something that just as important as you take information in, to recognize that there are multiple perspectives and that you need to understand the motives. That's why I recommend Customer-Think and CXPA just as two good places, is that they don't really have a profit motive attached to it other than to share great information.
Got it. And I loved all the amazing insights, and your wisdom, right, is invaluable. And thank you so much for being part of the show. And before I let you go, how is your experience being hosted on the Guiding Voice podcast?
It's been great. I've enjoyed the conversation, Naveen. Thanks for asking me to join.
Most welcome, and looking forward to hosting you again in future. And thank you once again. Have a great day, Michael.
Great. My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So, friends, that was our episode with Michael Hinshaw. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. In case if you haven't already subscribed to TGV, the Guiding Voice podcast, please subscribe from wherever you have tuned in, because subscribing keeps you updated on new episodes. And also, if you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV, the Guiding Voice. So, spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now, let's hop into the trivia segment. Having had amazing conversation about customer experience and how to elevate customer experience with Michael Hinshaw, I thought I would present you 3 lesser-known facts about the origins of the term customer experience. First one is about early beginnings in the service quality. The concept of customer experience, CX, has its roots in the 1960s and 1970s, when companies began focusing on service quality and customer satisfaction. And this era marked the initial understanding that how customers perceived their interactions with a company could significantly impact business success. And second is about psychological foundations. The term customer experience draws from human psychological studies on human behavior and perception. And researchers like Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, through their work on cognitive biases and decision making, contributed indirectly to the understanding that the entirety of customer interactions, not just the final outcome, shapes the overall experience. And then the last one is about technological influence. The advent of the internet and digital technologies in the late 1990s and early 2000s played a crucial role in the formalization of customer experience. And as businesses began to operate online, the need to understand and optimize every customer touchpoint became critical. And this shift brought about a more structured approach to studying and improving customer experience, leading to the widespread adoption of the term in the business and marketing strategies. So that's it from my side from today's episode. And folks, thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. We would love to hear from you. So do not hesitate to share your ideas, feedback, topic recommendations, and also guest speaker suggestions either through our social media, or you can also email us at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com, 4 as in digit 4 and letter, and you as in letter U. And let's create content that resonates with you. I'm your host Naveen, Samala, a lifelong learner, and my goal is to have impactful conversations that simplify and amplify your life's success. So until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember the future holds great things because the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care.